So my name is Nicole Stevenson. I'm the Executive Director of our Society of Professional Women program here at the Mainline Chamber of Commerce. We run about 4 or 5 of these sessions per year to help our nonprofit members in the community. And with us today, we have Diane Melly, who is with the Philadelphia Foundation, who sponsors this program and assists us with the content, as well as, of course, the investment so that we can host this program. So thank you, Diane. We will hear more from her shortly. Today, our topic is with Lissa Hilsey, how to create value in the nonprofit sector. And Lissa is the CEO of the Hands-On Advantage, and we will provide her introduction. But the most important part and the most important thing to get through this morning is to get around to all of you. We had over 90 people registered for the event today. So I asked during networking that we just literally share our name and our nonprofit. We're not going to get into challenges or what we want to learn today or what you do or what your nonprofit does. If you would like to share that information, I suggest using the chat so you can put your website and your nonprofit. And if you'd like to put what you do and your contact information, we encourage networking. So please put that in the chat after you introduce yourself. Before we get started, I also, Dana, I know you wanted to say a few words about Leadership Mainline. I will grant you access to a little bit more time when I come to you to do that at that time, just so that we can get through everyone today. So let's get started right away. As I said, Nicole Stevenson, I'll put my information in the chat. I am here as a resource for you, and I will put my info there for you to contact me. So I'm going to go to the first box on my screen, Kathy Stocker.
Hi, good morning. Kathy Stocker. I'm volunteer services and community outreach for RSVP. We're located in King of Prussia, but we cover Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia counties. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bev Weinberg.
Good morning, everyone. Bev Weinberg, founder and executive director of Integrate for Good. Good morning.
And Mojda.
Hi, I'm Mojda Keika. I'm the Director of Development and Communications for the Women's Resource Center. Good to see everyone.
Good to see you again. And Will Nord.
Good morning. My name is Will Nord. I'm the Executive Director at the Willows Park Preserve in Villanova.
Good to see you again as well. Desiree Riley.
Hello, my name is Desiree Riley. I'm the owner and founder of the Mastermind Cooperative, and I'll put some information below. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And Peggy Schmidt.
Peggy Schmidt, Pals for Life. We're a pet therapy organization.
Perfect. Thank you. Sarah Gibbons.
Morning, Sarah Gibbons, Executive Director of Family Support Line.
Thank you. And Ayana.
Hi, everyone. This is Ayana Yule. I'm with Community of Compassion CDC. I am the resource and partnership developer. Great to be in the car with you all.
Thank you. And Lisa Hewis, I believe. Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you. I had that in case my dog decides to join in. My name is Lisa Heiss, and I work for and volunteer on the board of Open Connections in Newtown Square. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you. And Megan Swindrow.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Megan Swindrow, and I'm the Executive Director of Interconnected. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And Martha Sharkey.
Yes, good morning. Martha Sharkey, founder and CEO of Today is a Good Day, providing support to families who experience the NICU.
Thank you, Martha. And Raylan Harmon.
I am Raylan Harmon. Sorry, I'm traveling, and I'm the founder of Teachers Teammates.
Thank you, Raylan. And Danielle Marino.
Good morning. I'm Danielle Marino, the Development Manager at the Chestnut Hill Conservancy.
Thank you. Marcy Smith.
Hi, I'm Marcy Smith. I'm an independent consultant who's worked with various nonprofits over the years and focusing now on working with small businesses, nonprofits that help small businesses. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. And Norman Matlock.
Yes, I'm unmuted now. This is Norman Matlock. I'm counsel at Akana in Southwest Philadelphia.
Okay, I see a name, Renee, but there's no last name. So you're not on video. So Renee.
Hi there. I'm Renee Archowski. I'm Caring for Friends. We provide food and friendship in the 5-county region.
Okay, it's getting a little more difficult with more people being added. Is there anyone that I missed besides our staff members or consultants and our sponsor, of course? No? Okay, well, let's go right to you, Dana, then.
Riker Jackson. I facilitate the Leadership Principles and Profiles program for the Mainline Chamber, and I also facilitate the Leadership Mainline program, which is what impacts all of you. For those of you who are not familiar with the Leadership Mainline program, it's a leadership development program that we run from January through June with a focus on developing leadership skills while impacting the community in a positive way by working with a nonprofit on a project that they otherwise would maybe not have the resources or the time to complete or work on that helps to further their mission. I will put my contact information into the chat, and if you are interested in learning more about applying to be considered as a nonprofit project for the Leadership Mainline class of 2023, we are accepting applications starting now. So we'd be happy to have more conversations with you. There's many on this call that have been through the experience. So if you want to put any comments in the chat, that would be helpful for others to know from your experience what it was like to be a nonprofit participating in a project with Leadership Mainline. Thank you very much. I won't take any more time.
Thank you, Dana. I really appreciate that. And while we're waiting for more people to join us, I would like to point out that we have 2 other staff members on the call. Ksenia Scott, who is our Director of Membership Services, and our President and CEO, Bernie Dagenais, has joined us this morning. So Ksenia, why don't you go while I let in the next round of the weight room?
Okay, and then you can make me the host and I'll take care of that for you.
Thank you.
Ksenia Scott, Mainline Chamber Director of Member Services. Welcome everyone. We want to welcome all participants. We have a great group. We also have many companies and many nonprofit companies. It's just a different business model, but you are businesses as well. Many of whom are members on this in this group. Pals for Life, Integrate for Good, Today's a Good Day, Teachers Teammates. A few I'm sure that I've, Open Connections is one as well. And our newest member, Caring for Friends. So have a great session today, and do reach out to Nicole or myself or Bernie or any staff if we can help you further.
Thanks. Go ahead, Bernie.
Good morning, everyone. So nice to be with you all. And I just would like to say it's a kind of a treat for me to be part of this morning. And regrettably, I can only stay until 8:30, but for a few reasons, it's a great treat. One reason is because typically the executive committee of the Mainline Chamber of Commerce is meeting at the time for the nonprofit roundtable. So I never get to participate. But it's really fun to see your faces and the variety of organizations that are represented here today. The nonprofit roundtable is really an important part of what the Mainline Chamber of Commerce offers, I believe, and one of the ways in which we convene individuals in this community who can share information and knowledge. I always think that the knowledge is not always in the front of the room, although you've got a great presenter today. The knowledge is also dispersed amongst the other participants always. We see that in our Leadership Mainline program or our management training program, which we're about to start in September, Leadership Principles and Profiles. There's knowledge around the room. So I encourage you to connect with each other. I want to just congratulate and thank Nicole Stevenson for her work in the nonprofit roundtable and leading this, because I'm able to do the executive committee meetings and not be concerned about the value and the quality of what we're doing here. Based on her abilities and her stick-to-itiveness and devotion to having great programs here at the Chamber. And I just have to say 2 things. You're about to hear from a couple of people who are people that I have a high degree of respect for. Diane Melly, you'll be meeting from the Philadelphia Foundation. I want to thank the Philadelphia Foundation for supporting the nonprofit roundtable again this year. And Diane has been such an important partner to the Mainline Chamber of Commerce. When we can work on a regional basis with other organizations, it increases our impact and it raises the profile of our members. So we've certainly done that through some cooperative work that we've done with the Civic 50, which is recently announced. You'll find information. Maybe Diane will talk a little bit about the Civic 50, good companies for you to be aware of, certainly. And the Greater Philadelphia Corporate Volunteer Council, which the Philadelphia Foundation oversees. And Viva Agrawal, our newest employee at the Chamber, is a member of the Corporate Volunteer Council as well. So there's some ways in which we all intersect. And then Lissa Hilsey has been someone that I have known for well over a decade, since she was running a nonprofit organization very effectively in Greater Philadelphia, primarily focused in the city. Really did a great job there and has been working very closely with us through a lot of work over the years, but primarily the Talent and Education Network is where we've been involved with Lissa so far in the last couple of years anyways. Recently did an event with some high school students in Norristown. She's impactful, she gets things done. Big believer in Lissa Hilsey and her ability to accomplish things. So I expect you will learn some great things today. Lissa, I have to say, I wish I could stay for the whole thing because I know I would learn from you too. Regrettably, I do have to take this call in a little while, but I want to welcome everyone overall and just thank you all for being part of this. And most of you are members of the Chamber, which we appreciate. And through that, we are able to provide these kinds of programming. So we appreciate it. It all works together. So I'll get it back to you, Nicole, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Bernie. We are recording it, so I can get it to you. So we'll have Lissa's presentation. If anyone came in, we only have about another 10 minutes before we start. So if anyone came in and you'd like to introduce yourself and your nonprofit, that's all we're going to have time for. But I am going to open that up to, I know I had about 2 or 3 people come in. You can just go ahead and talk if you'd like to introduce yourself. I can't, like I said, I couldn't see all the names that were coming in. So if you don't want to, that's fine. We can just move on. So Diane, why don't you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the Philadelphia Foundation? We are so, as Bernie said, but you do deserve the frequent acknowledgement that we could not host this program without you. So we are gracious for your time and your support. So please share with the group what you do and why it was important for you to be a part of the program.
Great, thank you, Nicole, and thank you very much, Bernie. So it's really a pleasure to be with everyone this morning. I think it's just an amazing thing that the Mainline Chamber reached out to the Philadelphia Foundation, because this is exactly the kinds of things that we like to support. So I'm Diane Melly. I'm an executive director at the Philadelphia Foundation and a senior advisor. I've been at the foundation for, it's going on 4 years now after spending 37 years at IBM. So I, like Lissa, bring multi-sector experience to the position. And the Philadelphia Foundation is such an important organization within the framework of our community as the largest community foundation, and really tries to work to make lives better for everyone across our region, and has a major responsibility to really connect the corporate sector and the not-for-profit sector in order to bring as many resources as we can for good across the region. So we really appreciate the opportunity to be a sponsor of the overall nonprofit business roundtable, because it gives us the opportunity to offer our grantees and our not-for-profit partners the opportunity to take advantage of such high quality program that Bernie, you and Nicole curate and deliver at the Chamber. So for us, it's a win-win. We are big believers in continuing to learn, in providing professional development opportunities, and continually offering capacity building. So we think there's no better way than to partner with folks like you at the Mainline Chamber in order to deliver these opportunities for our folks. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. A pleasure to be here today. I too, Bernie, know Lissa, but we're both at that point in life where I'm not going to say how many years ago it was that we first met. So it's my pleasure to introduce Lissa today. We were young women, let's just put it that way, when Lissa was running Philadelphia Cares back in the day. She is now the CEO of Hands-On Advantage. So I think we're having a real treat today to be able to hear from Lissa, someone that has cross-sector experience and just decades of accomplishments in really doing and making a difference and impact. So ironic, the topic today of how to deliver value, because I can't think of anyone better than Lissa, who as CEO in her current role is focused on the creation of optimal strategies for planning and executing to deliver greater value. So Lissa is both, as Bernie, I think I was hearing from you, she's both, she's really a rare find and a real jewel in our region because she's a big thinker, but she's results oriented and a doer. So it's just a tremendous combination. It's my treat to turn the floor over to her today. Again, thank you to Bernie and Nicole for allowing the Philadelphia Foundation and so many of our not-for-profit partners and grantees to join the call today and to join the series all year. So Lissa, looking forward to hearing and learning from you today. So I'll turn the floor over to you. Thanks, everyone.
Diane, thank you so much. And thank you to the Chamber. my heart is full. I just cannot, it's like the band is back together. I just can't think of a greater honor for me than to be here with the Philadelphia Foundation, Diane Melly, who's done such amazing work in our region. The Philadelphia Foundation, I just want to tell you all, just to add to all that Nicole and Bernie said, is, on their website says, we empower nonprofits. And they do. And I just think for a foundation to call that out and say that's the purpose. And it truly is, I can tell you in my experience, the Philadelphia Foundation over the years is dedicated to increasing the impact of nonprofits. And I am passionate about that and going to speak about that today. And I also want to say that on their website, big and bold, it says kindness is key. And I just think that sums up the spirit of the Philadelphia Foundation that I've experienced over the years. And so it's a perfect place for you, Diane, and so great to see you again. And the Chamber, I will get to the heart of the presentation, but I can't without acknowledging everyone here. The Chamber, the Mainline Chamber of Commerce is amazing. It is talk about big thinking, Bernie, big thinking, big doing, reaching out to Philadelphia, to the Philadelphia Foundation. It is that the Chamber's slogan is because we're better together. And I can tell you that I am better because I'm a part of the Chamber. And I'm sure that all of you here who are members have had that experience of the power of Chamber programming and connections. And so truly honored to be here today to speak to this topic, which I am so passionate about. And I should let you all know that in the spirit of nonprofit challenges and having to bob and weave, I am on my phone because today, for the very first time in my entire life, my Wi-Fi won't connect. So I am on my phone. So I'm apologizing to all of you. I'm unable to chat. Otherwise, the phone, it would be very, awkward with the phone to chat. So I'm chatting to you all. It's great to see you all. I'm here, and thank you to each of you for being here. I know. As in my experience of starting and building and working at a nonprofit, I know the incredible amount of hard work and dedication and passion. And as I said, the bob and weave and, do all duties as assigned was a big thing we said at Philadelphia Cares all the time. If you have to drive something in your car, you do it. So in any event, I just want to acknowledge all of you for all that you do for our community, and so great to connect with all of you. I wish I could see the full gallery of all of you, which I can't, but I see you all in spirit. So my goal today is just to make a very few, 5 to be exact. Bernie, as a writer, might connect me. I think 5 is not a few, but 5 cogent points that I think are the basic, sort of most simple, basic core points about having impact, increasing your impact, growing your nonprofit. And so the topic today is how to create value in the nonprofit sector. And to me, that means how to create more impact. How do you provide, the results that you're working to get in the community to the community? And the sub points, I just want to be sure you know that I'm going to address all of them that were in the promotional material. how to ensure growth and increase support for your organization, taking your organization to the next level, and building strong relationships that strengthen your impact in the community. I will address each of the 5 points I think are the keys that get you to all of that. So the Chamber invitation also talked about, and just to briefly touch on the statistics over the last couple of years, that 80% of nonprofits have experienced revenue decrease, and 80% are experiencing a negative impact from the pandemic. And if, I don't know if that has affected all of you and to what degree. I want to say, and I will sort of boldly go out on a limb and say that I do, in my experience, the points that I'll touch on are the antidote to these challenges. And so we'll walk through them today, and hopefully, as a result of everything today, my goal is that you are able to make a bigger difference. You're less stressed and happier every day in your work. That's my mission. So I want to warn you out of the gate, and those on here who know me know that I am a little outside of the box with regard to how to talk about the nonprofit world, how I view what it takes to build a nonprofit. So just giving you a little heads up about that. And to illuminate that, I will tell you a story, which is that I think it was, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks into starting Greater Philadelphia Cares back in the day, as Diane said, I was invited by the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce to join a think tank to help their nonprofit members. And so there were a few nonprofit leaders there, and in the conversation, I happened to casually mention that nonprofits were businesses without retained earnings. So for those of you who don't know, retained earnings are in a business, they're the profit you have over expenses at the end of the year that you can plow back into the organization. So it's, in nonprofit world, we call them accumulated earnings or net income. So same thing, different name. And so I said this out loud. I said, nonprofits are businesses with, without retained earnings. I didn't think a thing of it. Well, there was a woman there. She was in a huff. She said, "We are not businesses. We help people." So needless to say, I never said that out loud again to another nonprofit leader for decades. I did say it every day, however, to my staff and to funders. And I never changed my mind. And in fact, over the decades of building Greater Philadelphia Cares and subsequently Achieve Now, became more and more firmly convinced and saw from my experience that the vital importance of running a nonprofit as a well-run business. And what I mean by that is the efficiencies, as a well-run business does, as a well-run nonprofit does, looking every day for, how can I streamline operations? How can I clarify the roles of each of our team? How can I train the staff better? How can I put systems in place that ensure that everyone knows every process and how to do it every second? How is the database kept, that we know it's all kept that way? All of these sort of very tangible things that remove any of the clunkiness. It's this continual commitment to looking for what's clunky, that's getting in our way of being very efficient, because what we do is so important, and it's so important to do a lot of it. And so that gets me to my very first point, which is that a nonprofit is a business. And so I'd like to just take a moment, and I don't know if we said this up front or not, but I would like to just take 2 to 3 minutes now and just have any reactions that any of you have to this idea of a nonprofit being a business, and what that means to you, or questions you have about, thoughts about that. If you want to be in a huff about it, sorry. Any comments? I'll stop talking if anyone would like to share anything about that.
Bev, you have a little thumbs up. That's great if you can use those. You can unmute yourself and just go right ahead.
So I just wanted to like stand up and testify and say like, amen. Like, I think that is so important. And we're relatively new, we're in our 4th year, but it helps, I think, other sectors in the larger community understand what we need. And some of those, what I call the non-sexy asks, like we have insurance like businesses, we have marketing needs, we pay accountants, we pay attorneys, all those kinds of things where, you know, a lot of what we do is based on inclusive volunteerism in the community. We let people know volunteering is not free. It's free for you when you show up and participate, but we have all kinds of expenses on our end. So I think when we frame nonprofits as businesses, it just helps people understand what we need to continue to do the work that we do in the community. And I wish you would just keep saying that over and over and over again, because I do say it in places we go and you see people say, you know, almost like a dog when you blow a whistle, like, oh, I didn't think of nonprofits as businesses. That reframes it. So I think this idea is just so important and so true.
That's great, Deb. I love that. All right, I'll keep saying it. Thank you.
Diane,
Me too, me
raise
too.
your hand. Go ahead, Diane.
I think it's great, Lisa, too. I think, as you know, I sit on the board of Independent Sector, the largest membership organization for not-for-profits in the US. And so I think, Lisa, even in this day and age, while my whole background is business, having worked with not-for-profits over the years, I think there's still a lot of circles that you have to be careful about saying it. So I think it's this interesting terminology that we have around volunteerism and other things, but I think that the not-for-profit sector needs to be run like a business with all of the efficiencies, with all of the structure, with the rigor around the impact. So it's almost like run like a business where the bottom line is impact in the community, to your talk today. So totally there with you. But again, I still think there's certain places where you'll go. And honestly, I see it and I'm kind of astonished about some of the practices that business has when you talk about introducing them to the not-for-profit sector, say it's pay for performance. Some of those things really can be very explosive in the conversation. So totally there with you, Lisa.
I'm definitely in agreement as well. No huff over here. I think oftentimes when people talk about nonprofit, they think of no profit. And I'm just constantly trying to think of ways to bring money back into the organization so that we can make sure that we have the programming so that things can go further at a level of excellence. And I think helping people to have a different mindset of what we do and what is needed by the services will work well for us.
I totally agree. As someone who's like a total newbie to the nonprofit space, it's the only time I felt like I was engaging in business and I had no idea like how to compensate myself, like how to keep my family afloat, but at the same time, like continue to make an impact and like give everything you can into your projects. But at the same time, like, you know, you need to put food on the table, you need to buy toilet paper and sneakers for your children. Like, how do you do both? And, you know, I found myself feeling guilty for even trying to figure out how I'm going to be compensated. But at the same time, like, how can I do it from a space of poverty at the same, you know, how can I help people if I haven't even figured out a way to help myself? So, yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I don't know how anyone could disagree with that.
Well, good. Yes, you should be paid. I concur, 100%. Nicole, how are we on our time for discussion? Are we?
You're good. It's only 8:32. You're fine.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
I was just going to say that I think that the other piece of this too is just all of the back work that has to happen. Even though people really like to give money to programs and the actual direct service, there is so much behind the scenes that people are doing to keep the organization running. And people forget that. And I think that that's kind of like the business part, right? Is people doing the payroll and people ordering supplies and all those kinds of things that often get forgotten and that oftentimes people don't want to fund, that are really crucial to keeping the organization afloat.
You know, I will, you know, not to get into the weeds a little bit. I'm happy. I think a lot of that gets down to the presentation of your budgeting, and I'm happy to help you with that if you want, if anyone wants to reach out to me later, or we can talk about it on the call if we have time and Nicole says it's okay.
I see Raylan with her hand raised. Raylan, did you have something to say?
Yes, I couldn't agree with this point more. I feel like saying hallelujah, amen, and everything else. I learned this when I met Pam Lawler, who's the funder of Phil Abundance in 1984. I was astonished that she was applying business principles to building that organization. And I was so excited because I had been in the nonprofit world and saw so many inefficiencies that were, you know, really getting in the way of people accomplishing their mission. So I've been watching her build it, and I really truly believe it's, you know, partly due to the fact that she was applying sound business model to and principles to building a nonprofit.
Good, good. Yes, and its longevity is a testament to that, and its size and in the power of what it provides. Yeah. Anyone else?
I don't see any more hand raised right now. I think you can go on.
Okay. Okay, great. If anyone would like to push back on any points, that is fine too. It's all fine. We'll have good conversation. So everything that all of you said leads into my next point. And so as we built Greater Philadelphia Cares, I saw that not only did it need to be run as a well-run business, get ready for more blasphemy. It needed to have a clear product. And as by product, what I mean is an outcome, an end result, a thing you can point to that you say, we produced that and the world wants it and we clearly know what it is. And so I'll talk through some examples, but you know, the definition, Oxford Dictionary definition of a product is a thing grown or produced. So, you know, as we've discussed, so if, you know, if we do all agree a nonprofit is a business exists to produce something, right? It makes Cheerios or tractors or, you know, sharp razor blades, right? And so, and if it doesn't produce those things and produce it well, it doesn't receive support and it doesn't grow and doesn't expand. And so these sort of first two points are sort of paired items, I think. This, you know, run it well like a business, and in my experience, have a clear, precise understanding of your product. And again, I enjoy calling it a product because I think it's so important. We can call it outcome, we can call it impact. I do that because I have found in my experience of the 2 and now 3 nonprofits that I've founded, that knowing the exact product and pushing toward that is really powerful. And with, you know, all of the nonprofits I've worked with, I have found, and only recently when I found how vital this was to nonprofits, that I start saying out loud again after all these decades that it is a business, and that, you know, respectfully, we need to look at what the product is before any strategic planning occurs. And so, you know, and I think it's a little tricky with nonprofits because the connection doesn't seem so direct, you know? So with the business, you know, you put the Cheerios on the shelf, somebody buys it and you get the money. It's like this direct connection. So with nonprofits, I think that, you know, because sometimes it can seem so disparate and so disconnected, you know, how you have a person or a department or a division doing all the programming and getting it all out there. And then you have people over here building relationships and fundraising, that it can seem like it's not connected. And I just posit to you that it is connected. And so I'll talk more about that a little bit, but I want to really go over this idea of product. And I just really want to encourage, I'll just say in my experience of the nonprofits that I founded and that I've run, being really clear about what the product is. And just, I'll give you examples. It's, and not to put words in the mouth of anyone here, but, people who aren't hungry, that's a product. Families who aren't hungry. Achieve Now has in Philadelphia, in my tenure, taught 30,000 kids how to read at grade level. Our product was students who read at or above grade level. And so, to do that, we tested in the beginning of the year, we tested at the end. I'm going to tell you, it was Herculean as a task. Herculean. It took every staff member, it took hundreds of hours. But what we got out of that was in 10 hours of work, a student moved up 2.5 to 2 3/4 grade levels. And so it was worth doing that. That was our product. Students reading at grade levels, our product. That then became our message. That became our marketing. That became our fundraising. That was our driving force every day, was knowing what that product is. Families with Hope is a product, just as an example. Obviously each of you have many products. I'm going to say that there is a final product, a sort of the main point that you put your head on that pillow at night, and that there are 10 more of that in the world. There are 100 more of that in the world, whatever that is. And I just talk about it this way, so tangibly, because I think it pushes us to really look and see and find what it is. I looked at this for myself, my organization of working with nonprofits, and my product is your goal achieved. I am passionate about that. I just want whatever it is. You want a chocolate milkshake? I'm going to get you a chocolate milkshake. whatever your product is, that's what I'm going to get you. And that's my product. So knowing that's really powerful. And I found the magic of that, the magic of knowing that. So my second point is know precisely what you are producing. So I think this bears discussion, and would like to open it up for any of your thoughts or questions or ideas about that.
Go ahead, Martha.
Well, Lissa, I'm smiling over here. In full disclosure, we work with Lissa, and I love that she actually asked me that. And while we, I think, talked about it quite a bit in our organization and how we present to others, narrowing it down, and we haven't gotten it to one, Lissa, what do we have? Providing hope, building community for NICU families. But that has now turned into what we share within our grant applications. I was speaking at a team building program with 160 people yesterday, and I said, we provide hope to NICU families and we are building community. And so it really has, it was a good practice to think about it down to that idea of a product and figuring out what that was, and we use it all the time now.
That's great, Martha.
Hi. Yes, I couldn't agree more about product. I've worked at many organizations, both with Lissa and without, and I have found that at an organization where I worked in the past, we were misaligned on what our product was, and it was very difficult to bring us back together as an organization. We were a very well-established organization, had a lot of longevity, but through the years, we became misaligned on what the product was. Half of us thought it was one thing and half of us thought it was another. And we were all very passionate about those two things, but unfortunately it caused us to not, be one community focused on the end product that, our CEO thought was the end product. And so it was very challenging and difficult to bring us back together. And so I can't underscore enough how important it is to know what your product is and have everyone be crystal clear about it, because then it just creates a lot of disparate things happening in the organization. And we work so hard, we can't all be working hard at various things. It has to be that one thing. So I couldn't agree more. thanks for bringing that to the table, Lissa.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Renee. Renee, as she said, Renee has been with me through every nonprofit I've started.
And it couldn't have been more fun, and definitely Herculean. I love that word, and it was true in every sense of the word.
Yes. Any other thoughts about that? Any realizations? Any questions about that? I will say, I am happy to have, you know, a half an hour conversation, an hour long conversation with anyone and help you think this through if you'd like me to. It's my passion, and happy to do it if you want to have the conversation.
I don't see any more hands raised, Lissa. Okay.
All right, great. All right, so so as I said, I'm making 5 points, and I'm taking them in sequence. At the end, I'm going to talk through how to employ all 5 points really to create powerful ongoing expansion for the organization. The next 2 I'm going to talk about together because I think they're sort of a pair in a sense. So we've got solid business practices, we've got, you know, your product. And so now we have produce a lot of it and tell everyone that you are producing it. So I'll take the first point first, the produce a lot of it. And, you know, today promised to tell you how to get to the next level as a nonprofit. And I am going to tell you, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that produce a lot of it gets you to the next level. And this is a little tricky also with nonprofits because sometimes it can be a little bit of a cart horse kind of thing where you say, well, we can't produce more because we don't have the money to produce more. We have to get more money first and then we can produce more. And I understand the realities of that. Believe me, I have lived that. I am going to also say, again, out on a limb, I'm always out on a limb, that producing more of it is the key. And I'm just going to say in my experience with my businesses and both nonprofits, it was really just about continuing to do more, push for more. You know, Philadelphia Cares had 4 major events, and another one principal for a day came to our attention. We said, we have to do that. We launched another big event. So, and, you know, I know it's the case with all of you. You know, you have great ideas, you have great programs, and people need your services and you want to add them. And so I just want to encourage you to continue to do that. And then we'll get to the point of, you know, tell everyone about it. But just to really go through that, it's really, you know, however you can continue to produce more of that and hone that product. To give an example, just to make it real, Achieve Now, as I said, we tested in the beginning of the year and the end of the year. As we looked at the testing, we thought, you know what, there are some students who aren't making as dramatic progress as others. So what could we do about that? And we realized, oh, they must be losing something along the way. So we put in place testing after every lesson. And that bolstered our results even further and was more work. But it enabled us to keep students on track the whole way along. So it's honing the product. How can we keep making it better? Crystallizing the processes, you know, exactly what we're delivering, how we're delivering it, all the methodologies of doing that. And you know, and continuing to do more of it. So it's do more of it, do it better all the time. And really to have that as the driving force, no matter what. And the results will come. You will, by producing more and more of it, you will get supported. It will happen. I promise you. So the next piece of that that goes hand in hand with it is tell everyone you are producing that. And so when I say everyone, let's talk about that. So that touches on marketing, it touches on fundraising, right? As I said earlier, you know clearly what your product is. you now have your marketing message, you have your fundraising message. This is what we do. This is what we're producing for the world that the world wants. And all of this, telling everyone about it, it falls under the category that I call outflow, which is every possible way and every channel that you use to get the word out to everyone, whether it's sending 50,000 emails, phone calls. I'm going to go back to phone calls, emails, texts. Yes, Renee says outflow equals inflow. It does. Speaking engagements, everything, every channel that you can be on to tell everyone is will drive your results. It will drive your impact. It will drive your ability to create that impact. And so the thing about this is that it doesn't matter what channel you do that on, and I guess to make the point about why it's important, if you think about it this way, if 100 people know about your organization and what you produce, you will have a certain amount of money, right? If 1,000 people know about your organization and what you produce, you will have a certain amount of money, probably more. If 1 million people knew about your organization and what you produced, how much money would you have? Probably a lot more. So it just I think that underscores the point of it. I'm also going to say something else sort of, crazy, and it's never too much. It's never too much. If someone wants to unsubscribe, that's great, fine. It's okay. It's okay. Just keep getting it out there. More is better. More is better. And, if it's well done, if you're polite, you call every week for 3 weeks and you're very polite, it's polite persistence. No one minds that. No one minds that. People don't mind being called. They don't mind being reached out. They don't mind emails, I want to talk about phone calls. I am so committed to phone calls, and phone calls have always been, phone calls are the method that I've used to build every organization every business, every nonprofit I've started. And they're even more powerful now because really no one does it. So now you really stand out because every single thing is email and social media posts and every other channel. So phone calls are powerful. And I know you all know this, but to underscore it, I think sometimes, I actually track the number of phone calls I make a day because I want to make sure that I'm making more and more phone calls all the time. Because if you think about it, we need to build relationships, and we'll get to that in the next point. But you don't build a relationship on email. You don't build a relationship on social media. You don't build a relationship, even in a speaking engagement. You build relationships where you can have dialogue and back and forth. And you do that on the phone. You do that in meetings, whether they're in person, which of course is better, or on Zoom. And so the more phone calls you can make, the more relationships you can build. And I want to address one thing, which is that may come up, which is that, it's definitely a different world than it was 20, 30 years ago. Phone numbers in some cases, especially with funders, are hard to find sometimes, which is just how it is. So, but I will still say that as with any of these points, if it's your goal, you will get further than if you decide that it's not possible, right? So if you say, well, there are no phone numbers. I can't find a phone number for this company or that foundation. I don't know who to call. I can't find a phone number. Then you're not going to find a phone number. Right? But at least if you say, all right, I want to try to find a phone number, you have the chance of doing that. And I'll tell you the story. I was helping a friend of mine who started a nonprofit and that provides clean water. And I said, I'll make some calls and looked up what companies fund water projects and found one and tried to find who was in charge of philanthropy. And there was no phone number. There was no name of who was in charge. And I dug around and dug around until I found a video of a site visit that this woman in charge of philanthropy had made to Tanzania. And she made a video and her name was in the video. and I found her name, I called, I got through, and that organization has raised $100,000 from, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars from that organization since then. And she was great. She was thrilled we contacted her, and the organization's been helpful with her water goals. So, it just all that to say that it is, if you have the goal, any of these points, any of these goals, if you have, it's possible to find a phone number, then, and people are putting in the chat all kinds of ways that you can get phone numbers. Great, look at that, very helpful. Make sure to, if you don't know those resources, that you note those down, because I'm sure that they work. So it's really about every possible way to get the word out. The other thing I want to say about telling everyone what you produce is that in my experience, it doesn't require a detailed analysis of which channel is the best to put your information out on, because I feel like it's a little bit magical. And because you could send out, let's say you send 5,000 emails, now suddenly you got a phone call or someone emails you, but it didn't come directly from the email, didn't come from anyone telling anyone about the email. It just happens, you put it out there in quantity and do it well, and support and in-kind contributions and resources will flow in on any of those channels. So those 2 points were: produce a lot of it and tell everyone you are producing it. This is the time for discussion, comments, thoughts about that. Experiences, any of your experiences of doing that, some successes you had or anything else.
Hi, I'm Desiree again from the Mastermind Cooperative. I'm currently in the process of doing that. I've developed a 66-lesson youth entrepreneurship e-course with the support of Reform Alliance. And that support has been very impactful to us. It was our first grant, and I'm very grateful that they believe in us. So far, I've sent it out to multiple community evening resource centers in the city of Philadelphia so that it can give children programming, or these young people programming, for them to participate in after they are taken to the curfew centers for curfew violations, because we know 10 o'clock is very, very early for someone 17 or 16 years old. But if they're going to go to these community centers, they are obviously going to need activities to participate in. So I have it available through this QR code that I'll be distributing to the centers as well. And I would like to also offer free snacks available with the QR code on the snacks, healthy snacks, that maybe we can get donated through different grocery stores and things in the region, and have them available through a free vending machine at the curfew centers. First, I would like to start with one curfew center, but I'm waiting to hear back from a response from some curfew center, as well as the Philadelphia Juvenile Detention Center School. So again, that's our free entrepreneurship course, helped sponsored by the Reform Alliance. And I'm really excited to see how it works. Again, I'm very new to this space, but I'm like running at Sonic the Hedgehog speed, and I am not trying to stop anytime soon.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You will get it done. I know you will. I know you will. It is a ton of hard work. There's no question about it. But we're all cheering you on. Yep. You will get it done.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thoughts, questions?
Go ahead, Diane.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I wanted to just underscore something that just comes naturally to you. Of course, I agree with your point to outreach and tell your story and get as many people excited as you can. But what you did is kind of smart outreach. You, in your example of the company and water and Tanzania project, often having sat on the funder side and on the not-for-profit side, people would come to me at IBM and in some cases ask me for technology from a competitor. And so I think the kind of homework that you're doing naturally is really great stuff for everybody here, because you're communicating, but know who you're communicating to and whether or not they actually do have any interest. Because you can get through and within, 5 seconds, they'll say, well, I just am not interested in water production. Or so that whole ability now that we have to really be so loud with our voices, whether through social or through other channels, knowing who's on the receiving end and whether there's an interest there, really do your homework, because you can do a lot of energy. You could do a ton of phone calls every day, but if you haven't done the homework before you go to get the phone number, it often can be in vain. So just wanted to emphasize what I know you're doing, like always so well.
Such a good point, Diana. It really, it gets to what I know, a lot of nonprofits do well, which is this idea of having really putting together a targeted list of organizations and funders that you continue to build and that do address your mission, do support exactly what you're doing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So important. Sometimes we don't say things out loud because we learned them long ago.
I'd also just tack on that in addition to the phone not being dead, right? Everybody thinks, oh, nobody makes calls anymore, everybody texts. I would also add on that mail is not dead, and really thinking about using mailing strategically. And it's a lot of organizations where I've worked are like, oh yeah, we're going to stop mailing because we never see a return, or we're not seeing enough return, or whatever. And I think that mail is and still is really relevant, and it makes you again stand out. Like if you call someone, it just nobody calls anymore, and also a lot of folks don't mail anymore. So I think those forms of outreach that were people who were thinking were dead in the nonprofit sector, they're really not. And I think it's like new and innovative ways to mail things to folks really speaks volumes. I just did a new organization where we mail a lot, and we get a lot back from the mail, and we're thinking about ways to send new and different communications by mail. So it's not dead. I just want people to know that. Don't cut back on those types of things, because you'll see it, again, the outflow equals the inflow.
Yep. Yes. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, I had meant to mention that. Absolutely. Physical mail is amazing. And there is no cost greater than you have a successful physical mailing going out and you stop it. I have seen that be the end of an organization. So it really is vital to continue to do that and to do it. And it's absolutely worth the money. Thank you for bringing that up, Renee. Absolutely. Physical mailing. And there are organizations that can help you do that real simply, Postcard Mania, Vistaprint, these kind of things, just as little ideas.
I have a question. Hi, I'm Kristen Kwasny. I'm with Veterinary Community Partnership. We teach nutrition education in Philadelphia. So what you had mentioned about talking on the phone or using the phone as a communication method really, rings with me. But I think some of our hesitation with our organization for calling donors is just like putting a purpose around it. So we call our donors to thank them, and kind of beyond that, sometimes conversations can become like awkward because it's like, well, why are you calling me? So maybe if you can provide some examples of like why you call donors or what you talk about beyond just saying thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I am going to talk exactly about that in my next point.
All right. I didn't even know that. So here we go.
Yeah, see that coming up. Good. I will thank you for the question. That makes so much sense. Yes.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
I'll chime in here a little bit, Lissa. I'm back from my call. So great stuff. Been listening for a while. One of the points about calling that someone made to me early on in my days at the Mainline Chamber of Commerce was I had emailed a board member, and he responded to me. He called me back and he said, you missed an opportunity to talk to me by sending me that email. And so thinking about, I think that, we as sometimes askers and people who, we're running a nonprofit, we're asking for help, we want people to support us. We sometimes forget that how much the person on the receiving end also has a vested interest in the organization. And I think the previous point was a good one. You know, what's the reason you're calling other than to say thank you? So having content, I know you're going to get into that, having something that is a new information, something new to share, but it's just a powerful thing to say, you know, I had this reason to call you and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to talk with you because there's a two-way exchange and I get a chance to touch base with you and to build that relationship. And I've never forgotten that person saying that to me. And now we all email a lot. We choose to email a lot, right? But I often will pick up the phone just because of that statement saying, oh, well, this is an opportunity for me to talk with that individual. And I think they would appreciate that opportunity. And I know I will get something out of it. And then there's the intangibles, things that you didn't have, that wouldn't come up otherwise, that come up in the conversation. So I agree, it's powerful. We got to make sure we make time for a certain amount of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you, Bernie. Amazing how people can make one little comment and it sticks with us for our whole career. It really is powerful when people do that. Yeah. Anyone else?
I don't see any more hands up, Lissa.
All right, good. All right, so this brings me to the final of the 5 points, which is build relationships and ask. And I want to make the point first that these steps are not sequential. It's, you know, each of these 5 points, which we're gonna pull them up. If I did have Wi-Fi, I would have had a PowerPoint with the 5 points, but I can reiterate them at the end, and I will. I do have an image that Nicole's going to pull up for us. But in any event, the point is that these 5 things, you are doing all of them from every moment all the way along. And if in terms of asking, I'll give you a story of asking out of the gate. It was when, you know, literally, I think Philadelphia Cares, I think we had 2 volunteer projects, and but we were very clear about our mission. We had business practices in place. We knew what we were producing, you know, engaged people producing outcomes. And we had a breakfast at 30th Street Station, invited all the businesses, and Mayor Rendell sent some lower level person, and it was very early. And we, at that breakfast, we said, you know, this is what we do. You know, we didn't say we've had a project and we hope to do things that this is what we do. We provide volunteer opportunities for people across the region and for businesses. This is what we do. And we asked for support, and we got $40,000 that day. And it was, you know, huge for us. It, you know, paid our salaries for, I don't know, 2 years or something. So, but I'm joking, but the point is that the asking happens at the beginning and it happens all the way along. So they aren't in, you know, in sequence. So, you know, this point about setting yourself up for the ask, and then I'm definitely going to get to the point of the conversations and the calling and definitely all of that, and the content of that. But what sets you up for the ask, and what positions you to make the ask is having clear outcomes. You know, what positions you for the ask is having great business practices. You have a database of everyone, you're organized, you know who's doing what, who's calling who, you know, and building strong relationships positions you for the ask. And so strong relationships. So again, we've talked about how strong relationships are formed, you know, not via email or social media. They're formed in meetings and phone calls and in conversations. And I want to break strong relationships down into sort of 2 components. And one is the methodology and frequency of communication, and the other is sort of the vibe or the general approach to the partnership, and partnership being the key. There's a cartoon that I cut out of the paper a bazillion years ago, and I don't know where it is now. I wish I could show it to you, but I'll paint the picture for you. And it's a picture of a person standing, sort of, they're facing this way. So you see their profile standing up, and under it says funder. And then facing that person, laying on the ground with their arms around the person's ankles, it said nonprofit. And I kept that on my desk for years as sort of a parody of what it shouldn't be and what I knew didn't work. And so all that to say that partnerships in the nonprofit world with whoever, with your vendors, with funders, with the staff, they are partnerships. And as Bernie mentioned, and referenced, the funders want to hear from you. Your board members want to hear from you. They want to know. It's caring to reach out to someone. It lets them know that you think they're important and that you want their input and their advice. So, so the just the dynamic of that partnership is what I want to really focus on right now. That it isn't, obviously we're I'm trying to be respectful to everyone. And so that's the point is of course respect and deference to their position and everything that this person has built in their life and who they are, and really understanding that you have something to offer them and bring them, and that it's a partnership. And so to that point, the content of the conversations are, hi, I wanted to tell you we've had this amazing thing happen. I wanted to share this excitement with you. We have this really good news and I thought you might be interested. I wanted to tell you, or even, we have this challenge we're facing and I wanted to ask your thought about it. Get your input on this, what we're facing. We're trying to decide whether to blee or blah, and what are your thoughts? Do you have any experience with that? And even some little thing that happens, like, oh, I thought of you the other day because I saw this and I saw your billboard and I thought it was really great. I want you to know, I think it's really powerful. This thing happened in our program today, Bobby learned the short A sound or whatever it is. And I know we wouldn't have done that without you. So thank you so much. Just anything that, these are all just examples of those kinds of communication. And that get to sort of the heart and soul. I think it's easier if you're thinking about, to get to your question, I'm so sorry. Vetri is all I have in my mind because I can't see the whole screen. So sorry that I forget your name. But your great question, which is that I think part of it is if the view that these people are your partner and they're, they care as much about what you're doing as you do. And they want to know that their support, they want to know what's happening with it. They care, or they wouldn't have donated to you. I think makes it easier to reach out, and just sort of in a quick, professional, casual conversation to, ask about them and ask how, what's happening and give them little updates and do that on a frequent basis. So we can, happy to elucidate that. But I want to also get to the quantity of outreach. So I think we all know and we all get that the idea that if someone supports you, funds you, that perhaps it's not a great idea to wait a year before you're going to apply again to reach out to them. So, and I'm going to say that it's, regular ongoing communication. It's, maybe they're getting something once a week in the mail. Maybe you're calling them once a month, to check in, give them an update. And, as long as it's done professionally and done well, as Diane was saying, that it's targeted, it's meaningful, there's a purpose to it, as Bernie mentioned, have something you want to share, something you want to ask. The more that dialogue can happen, what my experience has been that what that does is it builds a real relationship, it builds a friendship, it builds a collegial dialogue and interaction and relationship that grows what is an initial contribution of $100 to $2,500, or an initial contribution that's $1,000 over the years grows to $25,000 to $50,000 to $250,000, from just really engaging that funder as a person and engaging the organization, as equals in this, endeavor to make the world a better place. So, it's sort of like, and it's not a bother. this is what Bernie inferred, was this idea that it's people like it. It's not a bother to them. You're not bothering them. They're your colleague in this, and they will enjoy being reached. Who doesn't like a phone call? Who doesn't like an email? It's it lets you know that people are thinking about you. And so I look at it as the sort of like the every stranger is a friend you haven't met yet thing. It's sort of like the parallel is, every every individual, business, foundation, government entity is a $250,000 donor that you just haven't built a strong relationship with yet. So that's how I look at it. And it's there for the creation with all putting all of these points in place. So I think that sums up that point. Is there further dialogue that you all would like to have about experiences you've had and what you have called about, or how you built relationships and asked? And I want to say something else about asking, actually, before we do that. The asking is this in the same vein that you would have this sort of very open dialogue and open relationship. Really important to be able to have an open relationship so that you're asking, well, so we've told you what we do. We understand. As a nonprofit, we understand what you're trying to do. I just thought of another point I want to make now. I have 2 points. All right, let me back up a little bit. So really important when you're talking to any funder to first understand what they're trying to do. I would definitely try to avoid the hi, I'm from ABC Nonprofit, and I'm now going to tell you for 20 minutes every single thing we do and I've ever done in my entire life. So, which is very easy and tempting to do. Really going to recommend, in my experience, the first step that I tried to do was to say, tell me what was important to you. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do as a funder, as an individual, as a philanthropist, as a government entity, as a foundation? So you understand what they're trying to do. Then when you speak about what you do, you can say things that are going to matter to them. To Diane's point, you can talk about where you're going to align. You can say, oh, you talked about this is important to you. We're doing blah, blah, XYZ, which could be really neat to do together. So there's that concept of really, really finding out what's needed first and then talking. And then I forgot my other point that I was going to make about that, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. I guess just my point was really just this idea of being very collegial in your asking, that you're asking in a way that's very, you're understanding what they're trying to do, and you want to, right, okay, this is what it was, is that you have enough of a collegial back and forth that you can really ask questions, really understand, so that you're in a meeting, you can say, they can say, well, yeah, well, just send us a proposal. And you say, well, that's great. What exactly would that look like? What should we ask for? How would that work best for you? So by the time you leave, you've asked enough questions, you know exactly what you're doing already. You have an agreement, in essence, to some degree, sometimes, so that it isn't a mystery. You don't have a mystery. You're not, the more you understand about it, oh, and when is your meeting? Oh, your meeting's next week. Oh, great. And who decides? How does that done? All of these kind of things, that you have enough of a relationship that you can just ask, like you would ask a friend, when are you going? When, what's happening? When do you leave? When do you come back? All those kind of things, because you've built this kind of relationship where it's very comfortable and that they respect you as much as you respect them. So, all right. So that said, what didn't I touch about building relationships and asking that, or what comments or questions or pushback or anything anyone would like to bring up?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we have less than 15 minutes left. So just giving you a heads up. And if anyone wants to ask questions, or as Alyssa said, comment on the last point, we're still opened up, so go ahead. Does anybody have anything?
I'll jump in this because I think everything you're saying is so excellent. I would add that how graciously we accept the decline sometimes, because it's a long game, and the relationships take time, and you may start to build this great chemistry and relationship with an organization, but it's just not the right time for that particular project or that particular initiative. But it's all about having a great experience and then being able to come back, and they may even reach out to you as a funder because they remember, I was so impressed with this organization and this is the thing that's a good fit for them.
Diane, I'm so happy you said that. I will never forget, I had a conversation, a funder called to, I don't remember whether the call was to say we got the grant or whether we were declined. I don't remember, but I remember that after she told me whatever the news was, that she said, listen, I just got off the phone with the funder with a nonprofit who yelled at me because I told them that we weren't funding them. And I said, oh my gosh. So I am so happy to share that here and to understand such an important point, Diane, such an important point that, I'm sure everyone here understands and knows, but of course, always gracefully, I think that's the word you used, and appreciatively, and just as you would in any relationship, assume there's a future and continue to persevere and do it politely.
Lisa, do you want me to share that slide you sent me? The image?
That would be great. Yes, thank you.
You don't see that?
So what I'm showing here is that this is, working sort of as a bar graph. And I'm showing it to make the point that each of these 5 points, the, precise product, business efficiency, produce your product more and better, tell everyone, tell more people, build relationships and ask. Each of those things at any point, each of those things then builds to the increased budget, increased staff, and increased outcomes. And so I potentially, I see this as a tool. I know that I have just used this without having, I just put this down for you all, but I'm going to throw out there that I think that any challenge that you are facing in your nonprofit, any moment where you feel like you're not growing as fast as you could, or you have a problem in the organization, anything that if you look at these 5 points and just say, all right, so which of these do I need to work on? Which of these do we need to do more of? Do we need to do more of all 5 of them? Do we need to focus, let's focus on this one first and really look at what's the condition of each of those things? Are they all being pushed and expanded all the time? And I think you may find that if you're having challenges, that there's one or more of them that perhaps could be worked on more. And so I guess we could, I don't know if you all got a chance to take a picture of that, or if you need me to go over the 5 points, but of course we can get you anything you want to have, and I'm happy to be helpful to any of you at any time. Any questions you have, I don't mind. You can call me. You can call me. My phone number.
Put your phone number in the chat, Lisa.
Actually put my phone number in the chat. I'll give you my mailing address too. You can actually mail me something if you want. Well, thank you all so much. It's really, truly been a pleasure. And I guess we have a couple more minutes for some questions, or back over to Nicole. Really, again, I admire each of you for being in this sector. And I know that all of you are doing amazing things, and will continue to do that and make our region stronger, backing up the Philadelphia Foundation and the Mainline Chamber in their everyday goal to do that. So thank you. And thank you so much for having me, Nicole. I really appreciate it. And Bernie.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Lisa. The whole reason why we had you was because at our last nonprofit roundtable, it was much like this, interactive, and you kept commenting, and then we had people asking you questions at the end of the event. So I was like, maybe she should conduct something herself. So thank you so much for your knowledge, and thank you all for participating. It's really important to have an engaging dialogue about everything, because everyone comes from different perspectives. We have resources here at the Chamber. If there's anyone here or you weren't able to save the chat today, please let me know. I'm happy to make introductions for you. The way you save your chat is you click the little button in the bottom of the chat. There's 3 little dots. You just right click that and you can hit save as. What everyone that's showing on their camera mind taking a picture for our social media right now while we do follow-up? If not, you can turn it off now. But if so, I would rather tell you than have you sipping your coffee or mid-talk, Lissa. You know, I'd rather just have a nice staged photo. So I'm going to count to 3 and then I'm going to take it. Everyone smile. 1, 2, 3. All right. I think I got it. We're good. All right. Well, everyone have a really great rest of your day. Thank you again to Diane and the Philadelphia Foundation for sponsoring this program. And we'll talk to all of you soon. Hope to see you at one of our next networking events. Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you.